I don't know if you saw it, but it was a really great welcome that King Charles gave President Trump today at the beginning of his state visit to the UK. Yeah, fantastic. If you get a chance to go online and watch one of the videos of his arrival, absolutely fantastic. But I was watching the prime ministers. So I'm trying to I don't want to get confused between PMQs and the Canadian question period in the Canadian Parliament today, and there was a bit of a showdown between Pierre Poilievre, the leader of the Conservative Party and head of the opposition, and Mark Carney, the Canadian Prime Minister. All Poilievre asked was, what is the size of the budget deficit? And in typical liberal Mark Carney, Justin Trudeau fashion, he refused to give an answer. We are halfway through the fiscal year and Mark Carney cannot give an answer as to how much deficit the country is running at right now. He is very quick to announce millions and millions of dollars in additional investments into growing the Canadian economy, into setting up these new bureaucracies and expanding the size of government, but he cannot commit to giving an answer as to how big the deficit is. Remember, this is Mark Carney, a globally recognized chief economist, former head of the Bank of England, doesn't even know how much money his government owes and how much he is absolutely blowing. To top it all off, he announced Chrystia Freeland, who was a cabinet minister under Trudeau, and she resigned then, announced that she is stepping down from her cabinet responsibilities and she's becoming a special envoy to Ukraine. We need a special envoy to Ukraine right now, apparently, and Chrystia Freeland is the best one to become this because of her family's ties and roots in the Ukraine. She has to be one of the most detested politicians that Canada has ever had. I mean, and that's saying a lot given the political party of which she's a member. Trump absolutely detests this woman, and to think that she can be part of a rebuilding initiative that will undoubtedly include the Americans. She is detested by Putin, and if we're talking about reconciliation, rebuilding, and ending the war, there's going to be involvement with the Russians. Putin can't stand her. She's banned from Russia. But Carney sees that she's the best one to fill this role, if indeed this role was ever needed. Now, what this shows me is that this is part of the bigger WEF, IMF, World Bank, deep state plan to completely rob and pillage Ukraine after the war. Remember, Chrystia Freeland is a very high-ranking member of the World Economic Forum, and she'll be there firsthand to make sure that Carney's investments, although they're disguised as aid into the Ukraine, will be rewarded. The West will be absolutely pillaging Ukraine, taking over its natural resources, controlling its banks, controlling its financial institutions, for reparations for the money that we've invested. Zelensky will benefit from this, of course. I mean, Zelensky is on his big mission right now to expand the war. This whole drone thing that happened recently, he's hopping around telling NATO that the reaction needs to be a lot stronger. Now, what does that have to do with him? What Poland's response is? He should worry about what's happening in Ukraine. But he's telling the West, he's telling NATO that the response needs to be a lot greater than it is, or greater than it was, in response to these so-called drone attacks. It's becoming an absolute farce, an absolute joke. Even Stephen Ledrew, the former president of the Liberal Party, in an interview this morning with Michel Ferreri, said that we need an election. We absolutely need an election. Carney's not the man for the job. All Carney is still doing, repeating that Canada's problems are because of the Americans. unfortunately, the vast majority of the electorate, the voters who put Carney in power, who returned the Liberals back to government, are of a certain demographic who get all of their news from state-funded media. So Carney has a majority government. I don't know possibly what can bring it down. You know, are we going to see defections from the Liberal Party? I doubt it. I doubt we're going to see what's happening to the Liberals here that we're seeing happening to the Conservatives in the UK, where they're jumping ship and joining Reform. But it's a mess. It's an absolute mess. We've got this absolute fucking chocolate teapot of a Prime Minister. The greatest thing he's done recently was run a 10-kilometer race. He can't even run his own government. Yeah, he's on TV running a race, announcing spending, announcing increases in spending for this and for that, spaffing money away left, right, and center. Nothing is changing here. Absolutely nothing is changing. And I just wish for a second that the Canadians were to take to the streets like the Brits did, that to unite the kingdom, take to the streets. We're at great risk now of losing the West. Alberta's talking again and again and again about separation from Confederation. Carney's not the man for the job. He's not the man to deal with the Americans, despite the fact that, you know, he's still blaming Trump, he's still blaming the tariffs, still blaming the trade war on everything that is wrong with Canada. He is wrong, is what's wrong with Canada. His party is what's wrong with Canada. We need a massive change. In the UK, in Canada, we need a massive, massive change. It's almost a mirror image, the two governments, just a completely tone deaf to the will of the people, completely ignoring them, ignoring the major issues that are at play here. You know, in the UK, the migrants, the boat crossings, the fact that the UK is still handcuffed to the European Human Rights Convention, which is stopping the British from completely taking back its own sovereignty. Here, in Canada, we're at the whim and mercy of a government that cares more about the Ukrainians, cares more about the World Economic Forum than it cares about its own people. Carney, if it was, you know, thank God the Americans are the driving force, are the main contributors to and funders of NATO, because if it was, imagine if the Democrats had won the election, we'd be at war. I can almost guarantee we would be at war right now. We would be massing troops. They would be sending Canadians, Americans, British, French troops would be heading east. Thank God Trump is sitting in the Oval Office, because I think, you know, thank God we have a president in the US who is very anti-war, because that's where they'd be taking us. It doesn't matter that the majority of us are more concerned about paying our bills, paying our mortgage, buying groceries. If it was left to these guys, we would be sending any remaining money we have over to the Ukraine. You know, feeding the industrialist corporations who are just sucking at the teat of the taxpayers' dollar. Anyhow, yeah, just absolutely frustrating. You know, you think that we're going to see something a little bit different when, you know, the Parliament in Canada is returned. There's a question period. You think there'd be some healthy debate. You think we'd start getting some answers. You think we'd start seeing some improvement on all of the various fronts that need fixing. But no, we're exactly where we were. You know, absolutely zero. Name me one thing that has changed since Trudeau was in office. Absolutely nothing. All right, guys. But again, a great welcome for President Trump in the UK. Just a splendid honor guard that was given for him. Hope you saw it. But yeah, let me know what you think. If any of you, you know, saw the Canadian question period today, just let me know what you think. What an absolute pitiful joke. All right, guys. I'll catch you on the next video. But until then, if you haven't already, I would really appreciate you subscribing to the channel. I'm almost at that 500 mark, almost there. So just a few more clicks and I'll be over that threshold. So if you could do that, I'd greatly appreciate it. But until the next video, take care of yourselves.